So today's class, the name of it is called Surely Oppression Makes a Wise Man Mad. And the reason why this class is being brought forth because I understand the anger of our people and how these things that we see, including myself, really upsets me, make me angry. But we got to refer back to the scripture so that we can stay focused on the bigger picture, because that's what matters, is the big picture. And as long as we stick to the big picture, then we'll be able to be the ones that's laughing at the end. So we're going to go by what our forefathers did to learn what it is that we have to do so that we can stay on track, stay on course, and keeping these commandments. But along with those commandments come the discipline that it takes for us to be able to do the things that we doing. To stay true to the word and keep our wits about ourselves, because war is not just physical. War is mental and physical. In order to deal with your enemy, you have to be able to understand, how your enemy works, so that you know how to counter his moves. That's the whole point. So with that, we're going to go into the book of Ecclesiastes. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7. That's where we're going to start. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and we'll start at verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. So when it says surely oppression makes a wise man mad, is like I said, the things that we see going on in the world, it makes us upset, angry about seeing our brothers and sisters getting shot down in the street, seeing how this thing with the NFL and the taking a knee, and how they made it all about the flag when it was never about the flag. It was always about the oppression and the senseless killings of our people, and they getting away scot-free like nobody did, like they didn't do anything wrong, while people are still suffering. So when it says, surely oppression makes a wise man mad, that's what it means. A man that's wise to the oppression that we are in, it makes you mad. But you got the people that the flip side of that is the ones that's not wise of the oppression, meaning that they think everything is fine. They just the all over the place. So the bottom part of that precept it says, and a gift destroys the heart. Well, that's the main reason why most of them are in that situation. Because that gift could be money, shut up money. That gift could be a house, a position at work, or whatever the case may be. All of those things that you have are things that make you be quiet and try to deter the movement or change the movement. Verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So the Lord said, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. So when we look at what's happening, we in the beginning of the things that we have been suffering through from our forefathers all the way up to us right now. But the Lord said better is the end, because the end is when Christ's coming back to save us from our enemies. That's what we're going to be saved from, our enemies. Read Luke chapter 1, verse 68 on down, and you'll see that. But we're going to be saved from our enemies and all the people that hate us. Not homeboy down the street, that's your same people. No, we're talking about nations. All the nations that hate us. That's what we're going to be saved from. Okay? So better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patience in spirit is better than the proud in the spirit. So when it says patience in the spirit, that means that we got to hurry up and wait. Let that stick and resonate in your mind. To hurry up and wait. Which means that we got to wait, but you're going to hurry up doing that. Because the time for us to be able to to come together, and when we're going to be able to fight against our enemy, that time is going to come. It's already predestined to come. It's a fixed fight. Just know that. So don't just get upset and like, man, when the Lord's going to come back? He's coming back, like he said. We just got to be patient, like the scriptures say. Better, in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 8, better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patience in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Because the proud might say, oh yeah, you're going to get it. You're going to this, you're going to get it. All of these things. We know what's going to go down. We just need to keep our wits about ourselves and use our psychological warfare along when it's time to bring forth the physical warfare. It won't be nobody laughing at us then. So with that, I want you to go to the book of Job. Go to the book of Job, and let's get chapter 36. Let's get chapter 36, and I'm going to start at verse 1. So the book of Job, chapter 36, and verse 1. Elihu also proceeded and said, suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. So when Elihu is speaking, this is about Job when he's going through his oppression. But how this thing gonna help us is we listen to how Elihu did this. How he was able to get that message across is the same way we're going to have to use our wits and be disciplined to do the same things when it comes to our oppression. So in verse 1 again, he said, Elihu, who also proceeded and said, suffer me a little, and I will show thee that I have yet to speak on God's behalf. So he's speaking on the Most High's behalf. Jump down to verse 6. He preserveth not the life of the wicked, but giveth right to the poor. So the Lord said, Elihu is saying he don't reserve the right of the wicked, those are the wicked among us, but he giveth the right to the poor. Okay, jump down to verse 10 now. He opened also their ears to discipline, and commandeth that they return from iniquity. The only way you're going to return from sin, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined to return from sin. You have to be disciplined in keeping God's laws to come out of the sin. I'm telling you, I know that it's not easy. The laws themselves are easy laws, but the act of doing them is not an easy task, especially when it's something that you're doing that you like or love or whatever the case may be, or however it may make you feel. It's something hard to break. It's like a habit. But if it means between you and the kingdom, then you got to break that habit. So verse 10 again, he opened also their ears to discipline. So the Lord going to open our ears to the discipline and commandeth that they return from iniquity. Verse 11, if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity. That's real simple. So the first part is he opened our ears to discipline, right? And commanded that we return from iniquity. Commanded that we return from sin. That's what iniquity is. Then verse 11, it says, if they obey, which is us. If we obey and serve him. If we obey and serve the Lord, they shall spend their days in prosperity. Meaning we're going to spend our days in riches. And I'm not talking about just physical riches with money. I'm talking about riches of not being oppressed anymore. Riches of being happy every time you wake up in the morning. Riches of never having to stress and worry about nothing. That's how you want to be. That's how we all should want to be. But it's going to take work now to get to that point. So verse 11 again, if they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity and their years in pleasure. Who don't want to do that? I know I do. Verse 12. But that means just erase everything we just read in verse 11. But if they obey not, they shall perish by the sword, and they shall die without knowledge. So not only are you going to perish by the sword, you're going to be killed with the rest of these wicked Israelites, and you're going to be killed with the rest of these wicked nations. And not only you're going to perish from by the sword, but you're going to die without knowledge. You're going to die without the knowledge of knowing what that prosperity and pleasure every day of your life is. You're going to die without knowing that. I don't want to hear about something and know that I can do what I have to do to attain that and don't do it. That don't make no sense. Why would I want to do that to myself? Why? So jump down to verse 14. They die in youth, and their life is among the unclean. So before the Lord put the curse on us where we're going to die like men, and he made it where we lived 120 years old, and we just watched that number just dwindle down and down and down and down. This is what the scripture is saying, that we die young. We're doing it now. 50 years old is young. 56, 60 years old is young. 70 years old is young. When the prophets was living 120, 130 years. So we in the curses. And we're going to continue to be in these things until Christ's return. Verse 15. He delivered the poor in his affliction and opened their ears in oppression. So if he delivered the poor in his affliction, the thing about it is people don't realize that they are being afflicted. Most people don't realize that they're being afflicted until they get into some drama. All before, they didn't give a doggone about what they was doing. They just doing what they wanted to do. But now the scriptures say he delivered the poor in his affliction. Now that you're in some drama, you call the Lord and he come help like he always have. And then he says, and open their ears in oppression. Now you want to listen to what the prophets have been bringing out for forever. Everything that we are telling you and teaching you. Now you're listening. Because now it's affecting you. We could have been light years ahead of this thing if we would have just listened from the beginning and not wait till it happens to us. See the things that are happening around us is showing us that we are an oppressed people, and not only are we an oppressed people, that we still in our captivity. So with that, let's go to the basically what it is the Lord suffers us. We have to realize and understand there's a guideline that we have to follow so that we can have what verse 11 says, that we obey him and we can serve him, and then he's going to give us prosperity and pleasure every day of our life. We got to be disciplined to follow that guideline. So let's go get Psalms. Let's go to Psalms chapter 44, and it's not going to be a long class. Psalms chapter 44, and get verse 1. We have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us what work thou didst in their days, in the times of the old. So we read the scriptures to see what our forefathers have done, the good and the bad. So if we know the good and the bad and the results behind them doing great and them doing not so good, when we see the results, then those are examples that we have to follow. We're going to follow and do what we got to do to do the good parts and avoid doing the things that put our people in the jam we in now. So if the scripture's telling us in Psalms chapter 44 verse 1, we have heard with our ears. Because when you read this word, go in your brains, and then you have prophets that speak and teach you. That's number one. Oh God, our fathers have told us. So we telling our people today, keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Come out of this wickedness. Don't envy your oppressor. Whatever it is that we tell them, the same thing that our forefathers was telling their children, and their children telling their children, till we get to us. So, O God, our fathers had told us what work thou didst in their days and in the times of old. We got to continue that same work today so it don't suffer our people. Some going to get it, some ain't going to get it. Now let's jump over to verse 11 in Psalms 44. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Are we not like sheep appointed for meat? They just kill us at will. And are we not scattered among the heathen, scattered among the other nations, the nations that are not Israelites? Are we not scattered among them? Yes, we are. So they shoot us down in the street. We scattered among the heathen. All the things that's actually happening to us right now is all testament to why we need to get back to what we need to get back to so that we can fight this war spiritually and physically. Verse 12. Thou sellest thy people for nothing. For naught means nothing. And doest not increase thy wealth by their price. So they sold us for nothing. So basically, nigga head 200, 150, 300, whatever the case may be. That's the money that they sold us for. Our whole life is gone in that transaction between Edomites to Edomites, from Dickey Plantation to Thomas Plantation. Okay? But when it said does not increase thy wealth of their price, we are not increased when we go from the Dickey Plantation to the Goodman Plantation, or from the Goodman Plantation to the Henderson Plantation. We're not increased. It's just more work for us. And we carry those memorials that's on our last names to this day. Verse 13. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors. A reproach is like a laughing matter, a laughing stock. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Not only we are a laughing stock, they may see us and see us in fringes. They may see us. Some of the people that smart, they know that brother woke up and he gonna be one to deal with. And then our own people are gonna be laughing. Oh, look what he got on. What is that thing he got on? Look at those armbands. What's wrong with him? This dude, he's serious? And then you have the other nations that look at us because they see the majority of us is standing on the street corners, our pants hanging all the way down underneath our butt. looking like a bunch of fools, calling our sisters all kind of hoes and this and that, bitchs on the video and the music, and just exploiting them and this and that, and money throwing and all these kind of things like that. That's what they see. And they say, this is the people that's the people of God? Yeah, okay, this the people of God? Yeah, all right, whatever. So in verse 13, thou makest us a reproach. Yeah, we are a laughingstock as a whole. You got to get out of your mind and stop thinking that everything that is done is based on your individual status. No, it's based on your people as a whole. Not because you may be established and got a nice house or a nice car or whatever the case may be, but out of every one of you that have a nice car and a nice house, is 100 of us, of the same people, that don't have that. That's what you got to understand. Verse 14, thou makest us a byword among the heathen. So Psalms 44, from verse 1 that we already read all the way down to now we at verse 14, is already telling us. The same thing that we experience in the curses is being repeated to us in the book of Psalms. And David is telling us. So here in verse 14 it says, thou makest us a byword among the heathen. It's one of the curses. The byword among the heathen, yeah, they call us niggas, spicks, red wetbacks, whatever they want to call us, they call us. Akatas, kulons, whatever. All the heathens got a name for nigga. So in verse 14 again, thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. So what does that mean? They ain't talking about a shaking of the head of our own people. It's talking about the shaking of the head of the other nations. When they look at us, they like this. Look at them niggas. Pants hanging off his behind. Look at it. Look at this woman. You can see her whole body. She might as well be walking naked. Look at this dude here. You know what I'm saying? Look how silly they look. Out here just shooting their own people for nothing. Robbing the bank, robbing the grocery store for $200, and then ruin the rest of their life for $200 and a bag of chips. How silly are these people? These the people of the Lord? Shaking my head. Verse 15. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face have covered me. Yeah. When the scriptures say my confusion is continually before me, that means those that are keeping God's laws, the conscious-minded Israelites, looking at our brothers and sisters in confusion, saying, how can we have gone so far? How can they not get it? And then when it says, and the shame of my face have covered me, it's because I can't believe that I'm part of these people. We supposed to convert these people? Well, you got to remember something. Remember this. Somebody got to play the 2/3 part. Okay? Everybody in Israel got a role to play. And we all have our lines. Some of us got the lines of the 1/3. And we're going to do what we got to do to get the kingdom. And then you got the others that's playing the role of the 2/3. You just make sure you don't get the part of the 2/3. So jump down to verse 17 in Psalms 44. All this is come upon us, yet have we not forgotten thee. neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. So right here when it says in verse 17, all of this of our oppression, all this is come upon us. So all these curses that have come upon us, all the things that that we're looking at and covering our face and saying, yeah, that's my people. Yeah, these are God people. But and you looking at them in a state of shock. But at the same time, the Lord is saying, all this has come upon us. Yet have we forgotten thee. No, we ain't forgot the Lord. And the Lord ain't forgot us. It may seem like that because of all the things that we're going through, but he have not forgot us. He remembered us. He remembered our oppression and what we're going through. He remembered that we're going through these things right now. That's the strength. That's why we go back and look at Job, chapter 36 and verse 14, when it was referencing what we got to do. If we obey and serve him, that we will have prosperity and pleasure. That's the big picture. So verse 17 again in Psalms chapter 44 and verse 17. All this is come upon us. Yes, it has. Yet have we not forgotten thee. No, we haven't. Neither have we dealt falsely in thy covenant. Yeah, we know the Lord's covenant. Yeah, we broke the Lord's covenant, but we're coming back into remembrance of the Lord's covenant. And as we coming back into the remembrance of the Lord's covenant, that means that we're going to start keeping God's laws or whatever and get saved out of this thing. Even if it's by the skin of our teeth, we just got to make it. That's all that matters. We just got to make it. Let our good deeds and doing what the Lord said for us to do be enough to get us in. Verse 18. Our heart is not turned back, neither have our steps declined from thy way. Our heart is not turned back to going back into sin. A lot of brothers and sisters do that. They let the pressures of the world change their mindset and put them back in sin. We don't want that thing. We don't want that. Anything that we got to do to keep ourselves from getting in that position, that's what we should do. If it's being around certain people that put you there, or being around people that help build you up, whatever it takes, that's what you're going to have to do. If it means getting in the script, whatever it takes, you got to be disciplined to do it. So in verse 18 again, our heart is not turned back. No, we ain't going back to sin. Once you come into this truth, we ain't doing it. Neither have our steps declined from thy way. We ain't gonna go back. Yeah, we might fall down and do something stupid or whatever the case may be, but we remember this covenant. We remember the big picture, and that's what we're trying to get to. Verse 19. Though thou hast sore broken us in the place of dragons, yeah, the Lord did break us in a place of dragons. These Edomites, they broke us down. But we still here. We still kicking. We still strong. And covered us with the shadow of death. When they say covered us with the shadow of death, when you know in the curses, hold what you got. Where you at right now? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's go to 28 and let me get verse Deuteronomy 28, and let's start at verse 65. I understand what that scripture means when it says not only does he in Psalms 20 when he says though thou hast broken us in the place of dragons and covered us with the shadow of death. Now you read Deuteronomy chapter 28 and start at verse 65, and it says, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the soles of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and a failing of the eyes, and sorrow of the mind. Verse 66, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear the day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. That's what these people do. See, I don't know if all of you have ever been stopped by the police before, but I have, and I'm in law enforcement. And I'm telling you, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I'm running through my mind. Just let me do everything that I need to do to keep from getting killed. Because when they stopping us, they already on scared mode, and they, attack first, ask questions later. If you people don't understand that, all you gotta do is watch some shows like Live PD or whatever they got showing on. You watch how they handle them Edomites and watch how they handle our people. They're afraid of us, but they ain't afraid when it comes to killing us. And when they kill us, they get off very easy. That's oppression. So the shadow of death is you going through your life, not worried about if your neighbor next door or the boys down the block going to kill you. You more worried about the Esau killing you, namely the law enforcement. When your life hang in doubt, that means you ain't got no control of when somebody decided they want to take your life or not. Could you think about this kid, Trayvon Martin? That kid, all was on his mind was going to the store and get a drink and some Skittles, so drinking and some candy. You think that dude was thinking about getting killed that night? No. The little boy that was playing in the park, Tamir Rice, you think he was thinking about getting killed that night? No. Or that day? No. That wasn't even in their thought process. But that's that shadow of death. That's the oppression that makes a wise man mad. Psalms 44. If we have forgotten the name of our God, or stretched out our hands to a strange God, did we do that? Yeah. Because we were running around here believing that Caesar Borgia was Christ. We was running around here looking at the Edomites like they were gods. Because they had everything, we had nothing. They could do whatever they want, we are oppressed. It's still like that. But now we have a conscious mind because of the scriptures. We found out that you try to trick us with our own history. Now we done figured it out. So you ain't got that control over me no more. But they still got the control over the majority of our people. That's why we have to continue to be patient and continue to try to put that word out there so that they'll know. Maybe one day it might click and they get it. Maybe they won't. But like I said, somebody got to play the part of the 2/3. So verse 21, shall not God search this out? Yeah. That's why he gave us the scripts. For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Yes, he do. He know what we doing in secret. He know what we doing in plain day. But the point is, we search out the Lord. We make the conscious decision that we want to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That's not something the Lord going to put on us to do. He put the spirit on you that you belong to him. Now you got to show him that you love him by keeping the commandments. He didn't program us to do what he wants us to do. Or how would the Lord know that we love him if he just programmed us to love him? You can't feel that. You're only doing what I program you to do. But when you doing them with your own will and accord, and you show me you love me, I know you love me. And I'm going to love you back. So verse 21 again, shall not God search this out? For he knoweth the secrets of the heart. Verse 22. Yea, for thy sake are we killed all the day long. Is that true? Yes. Our people all day long. Yeah, we killing each other. That's them 2/3. And yeah, the other nations are killing us too. We are counted as sheep for the slaughter. Verse 23. Awake, why sleepest thou, O Lord? Arise and cast us not off forever. That's our plea to the Most High. You see this that we're going through, Lord? You see this pain that we are suffering? That we're watching what's happening to our people? Cast us not off forever. He said he's not. Because in Isaiah he said that, what did he say? He said that he would still choose Israel. In spite of all the drama that we given and putting out on this earth, that he still chose us. He didn't change from that. Verse 24. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and forgettest our affliction and our oppression? The Most High, yeah, he hid himself from us in the sense for us to find him. Because he said he ain't coming to our beck and call like he was before. Now you're gonna earn it. You're gonna earn my love. You always had to keep my laws, but you really gonna earn it now. Because you coming from the worst that Israel had ever been a part of. And believe it or not, from 70 AD all the way up to now, from before that, we had some bad times, and yeah, we had some captivities that we had to deal with, but ain't nothing compared to what happened to us from 70 AD up to right now. This right here, I'm talking about 2017 all the way to 70 AD. Nothing can compare to what has happened to the Israelites in that space of time. The most horrific thing that you could think of. People think about all the people that get killed in Las Vegas. That was a bad thing. Let me tell you something. That don't even register a percentage of what happened to our people. Because you don't stay studied up and start reading about your own history, you don't have nothing to compare who you are and what happened to your people and what's happening to you now to what's happening to these people. You over there crying and posting tears or whatever, and God bless them and this and that, blah, blah, blah. What about your own damn people? Nothing can compare to what happened to us. They talking about this is the worst mass shooting and all of this in the history of America. No. The worst mass shooting and killing of people in the history of America happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when them Edomites attacked black folks down there in Black Wall Street. And then the next worst after that was what happened in Rosewood, Florida. but we don't count. Because why? We just sleep sheep for the slaughter. It's up to us to make it count. But when I say make it count, we ain't got to convince these damn Edomites or these other nations that you oppressing us. They already know it. It's our ignorant, stupid people out there. They don't get it. They're the ones that's going to have to they're the ones that's going to have to be the face the facts that we are oppressed people. That we are oppressed people, and the things that are happening to us are happening to us because we didn't keep the commandments. I'm not here doing this because I want to show the heathens that we are oppressed people. They already know that. It's your next door neighbor that need to know. It's your friends at school that need to know. It's your friends at work that need to know. And they want to listen. They don't want to listen. Once you open their ears to it, like the scriptures say, to the discipline, and they don't want to hear it, leave them alone. You ain't got to convince nobody to love the God, to love the Most High. You ain't got to convince nobody to do that. If they don't do it on their own free will and accord, then somebody got to play the parts of the 2/3. So with that, let's go back to Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Because it's a heavy script. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. But this is it. Verse 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof. And the patience in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Let that resonate through your mind. We know the big picture. That's all that matters. The Lord's going to help us. We just got to be patient and hurry up and wait. Now let's go to Psalms 119. And I want to get verse 132. The book of Psalms, chapter 119 and verse 132. Look thou upon me, and be merciful unto me, as thou used to do unto those that love thy name. See, these things, when you hear this should be stuff that should bring you to tears. Because when you think about all the things that the Lord have done, and all our wickedness, it should make you want to cry. Why? Because could you imagine you as a parent, no matter how much you try to teach your children to do these simple things, because these simple things ain't something that just because I ain't got nothing else better to do, I just want to give you a bunch of rules. They're things that make your life last 120 years that he shut it down to, that he cut it off to. But now, like the scriptures say, we dying young. And even 120 years is young. But we dying younger than that. So we read the scripture and says, look thou upon me, and be merciful unto me, as thou used to do unto those that love thy name. That's what we begging the Most High to do now. Our plea to the Most High. Lord, don't forget us. I know we some hard-headed people, but help us. Verse 133. Order my steps in thy word, and let not any iniquity have dominion over me. That's prayer. You got to pray. When you know you're suffering from something and you need help, you got to go in your prayer closet and you got to really let the Lord know you need his help. You need his help. He's going to direct the way that you should go. He's going to expose you in whatever ways he's going to expose you so that you do right. I know he did it to me. That's why I said it knows, he knows the secrets of your heart. So you got to show him that you're going to do better because you know better. Verse 134. Deliver me from the oppression of man. Deliver me from the oppression of man. So will I keep thy precepts. It's that simple. It's that simple. You deliver yourself from the oppression of man by keeping the commandments. By keeping the commandments is what's going to give us that prosperity and that pleasure. Verse 35, 135. Make thy face to shine upon thy servant, and teach me thy statutes. Verse 136. Rivers of water run down my eyes, because they keep not thy law. Read that again. Rivers of waters run down mine eyes, because they keep not thy law. When we see our people walking down the street with their pants hanging down, and our women like they might as well just be naked, or people that just say that they ain't doing that, they gonna keep on eating their pork or whatever the case may be or whatever, and you know you love them, and you know that you don't want to see them die, but you know that ain't nothing you can do to change that. They mindset in that. They don't believe. And that's part of the reason why you cry, because you can't believe that they don't believe. Why you even call the Lord's name if you ain't gonna do nothing he say? He give you 600 laws, and you find that hard to do. And one state got over 5,000 laws, and you keep the majority of them. It's because that judgment come real fast when it comes to you breaking man's law. Because the Lord is long suffering and ain't punish your behind or punish the people that we know and love. Yet, when they do get punished, it ain't going to be no pretty picture. Because when all of that's going down, he going to hit that DVR button on them, and he going to play back in slow motion when you try to tell them, don't do this. The Lord hate that thing. Don't do this. Keep the commandments. He going to play that back. And they going to be like looking, trying to begging and screaming and crying, gnashing of the teeth. Please save me, help me. Ain't nothing could be done. You gone. It's a wrap. It's over. Party over. Curtains closed. They sweeping the floor. Lights turn on. It's over. It's too late now. So we beg for the Lord's help. The Lord come. An example of the Lord coming to help, let's get that. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah. Because these things that I bring forth to you, I bring them because I want you to see, even in the midst of our oppression, the Most High came through. I know we can all attest to that now. But I want you to see about the prophets and the things they had to deal with while being oppressed at the same time. They still made it happen. What make you think we can't do that? We could do it. So let's go to the book of Nehemiah chapter 2. Let's go to the book of Nehemiah chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 17. The book of Nehemiah chapter 2 and verse 17. Then said I unto them, ye see the distress that we are in, how Jerusalem lieth waste, and the gates thereof are burned with fire. Come and let us build up the wall of Jerusalem, that we be no more a reproach. We be no more a laughing stock. Xerxes and them Persian and Medes tore us out of the frame. They beat the brakes off of us. And they did it because of our sin. That's how they was able to do what they did. They beat the brakes off of us, tore our whole house down. Now the righteous brothers stood up, Nehemiah and all the brothers that was with him, to build back the walls of Jerusalem and put it back in order. Okay? So in verse 18, then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he has spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. So the people, after Nehemiah got the word from the king, okay, let them rebuild, okay? And then he tell the people, now the people rising up together and we're going to go do this thing. But let's check out what happened. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the servant, the Ammonite, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they laughed us to scorn. So they were laughing when he said, we're going to build a wall. We're going to put our nation back in order. And they looking at it like, ha, you going to do that? Okay, yeah, right, whatever. And despised us and said, what is this thing that ye do? Will ye rebel against the king? That's what they asking. Verse 20. Then answered I to them and said unto them, the God of heaven, he will prosper us. Therefore, we, his servants, will arise and build. But ye have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem. Basically, what Nehemiah told them is, you can laugh all you want. But the Most High power that created the heavens and the earth, he's the all power. And you ain't got nothing to do with us. And that's how you got to look at this oppression that we in right now. These nations ain't got nothing to do with us. We know that we in a fixed fight. And their time is coming. It's drawing near. And they know it. But what you got to understand is we got to keep fighting to get to this day when the Lord come and save us out of this. And we got to do that fight by staying in these laws, statutes, and commandments and teaching our people and showing them. We got to give them the mental fight first. Because when the physical fight come, it's going to be no match. It's going to be no match. Let's jump over now to Nehemiah chapter 4. And we're going to start at verse 1. The book of Nehemiah chapter 4 and verse 1. So now this is what's happening after the brother prophet Nehemiah told him, you ain't got no part with us. You can laugh all you want, but we're going to do the doggone thing. So now we're going to read him doing the doggone thing. Let's get it. Nehemiah chapter 4 verse 1. But it came to pass, that when Sanballat heard that we build the wall, he was wroth, and took great indignation, and mocked the Jews. And he spake before his brethren and the army of Samaria, and said, what do these feeble Jews? Will they fortify themselves? Now you got to learn, when we put our mind to it, we could do anything. Will they fortify themselves? Will they sacrifice? So this dude thinking, we're going when they say fortify ourselves, going to build ourselves up where we can fight. At the same time, we building this wall, and we're going to sacrifice our death to do so. Guess what? Yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. Let's get it. Will they make an end in a day? Will they revive the stones out of the heaps of the rubbish which are burned? Yeah, we sure are. Watch us. Verse 3. Now Tobiah the Ammonite was by him, and he said, even that which they build, if a fox go up, he shall even break down their stone wall. So this Tobiah the Ammonite gonna say, if they build a wall back, a fox can hit the wall and it's gonna fall back down. Okay, we're gonna see. You was laughing now. We're gonna see who's gonna be laughing later. Still in verse 3. He shall even break down their stone wall. Verse 4. Hear, O our God, for we are despised, and turn their reproach, meaning turn their laughing upon their own head. Turn their laughing upon their own head, Most High. And give them for a prey in the land of captivity. And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sin be blotted out from before thee. For they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. Yeah, you done made the Most High mad. You done pissed them off. And before the builders are those righteous men that's ready to put this wall back that you said a fox gonna knock over. You laughing at us like we can't do it. Well, right now, people, we the wall. Yeah, you, the Israelite. We the wall that's broken down. And those that's in this law, statutes, and commandments, that's keeping God's law, statutes, and commandments, we the builders. And the pants sagging down behind his behind, drinking and all of that on the corner, woman half dressed with all these different colors in her hair. Yeah, that's the broke down wall that's burned to the ground. We're going to take that broke down wall and we're going to build it back up to the glorious wall that it once was. That's what I'm showing you. That's our job. That's what we're going to do. So verse 7 again. Verse 5 again. And cover not their iniquity, and let not their sins be blotted out from before thee. For they have provoked thee to anger before the builders. Verse 6. So build we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof. For the people had a mind to work. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Asherites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up and that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth. Now they mad because now they see that we taking this wall and we building it back. Now we're going to take that same wall spiritually and you watch what we doing. We building the nation of Israel back. So the people that used to be on the corners with their pants hanging down and sagging down, the women that used to wear hair all different colors and dress in all kind of ways or whatever the case may be and be ignorant as hell, is no longer like that. We covering up the breaches. The breaches meaning that are breaking any kind of fortified fortress. Whether it be a wall and there's a break in the wall, that's a breach. So we build that and fill that hole back up to close that breach. And we got to do that to every last one of them that will listen. To us, enough of us, of the 144,000 coming together and that 1/3, we getting up out of here. So verse 7 again. But it came to pass that when Sanballat and Tobiah and the Arabians and the Ammonites and the Ashdodites heard that the walls of Jerusalem were made up, that the breaches began to be stopped, then they were very wroth, and conspired all of them together to come and to fight against Jerusalem and hinder it. Watch what happens. Nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our God, and set a watch against them day and night. So that means that while we were building the wall, we was fighting. So we get a sword in one hand and putting bricks on the wall with the other hand. That's what we was doing. We weren't playing no games. This is the kind of people that we dealing with, and you got to get yourself back in that spirit so that you could be like this. Despite all the oppression that's coming against us, we're going to fight against it, and at the same time saving our people. So verse 9 again, nevertheless, we made our prayer unto our God and set a watch against the day and night because of them. And Judah said, the strength of the bearers of the burden is decayed, and there is much rubbish, so that we are not able to build the wall. And our adversary said, they shall not know, neither see, till we come in the midst among them, and slay them, and the cause of work to cease. So they think they're going to come in and kill us while we doing this to stop the wall from being built. Let's see what happened. And it came to pass that when the Jews which dwelt by them came, they said unto us 10 times, for all the places whence ye shall return unto us, they will be upon you. Therefore set I in the lower places behind the wall, and on the higher places I even set the people after their families with their swords, their spears, and their bows. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for you, for your brethren, your sons, and your daughters, and your wives, and your houses. You see what our forefathers said, and what he did? While they was out there building that wall, they had any able-body, whoever it was, out there with spears, with swords, with bow and arrows, to fight off these suckers while we were building the wall. That's the whole point. Under our oppression, we being pressed on one side. And on the inside part of the wall that we build around outside to keep that oppression that way. That's what the Israelites is doing, keeping the oppression outside so that we could build the nation inside. We got to be willing to fight those that are oppressing us to do so. And this fight is spiritual. That's why it takes the discipline to study yourselves approved. Because in the scriptures, it's going to show you how to do that and win without having to lift one weapon. That time is coming. But the word of God is like fire. And I'm telling you, when you speak it, oh, it burns. So verse 14 again. I love this. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and to the rulers and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons and your daughters, and your wives and your houses. And it came to pass, when our enemies heard that it was known unto us, and God had brought their counsel to naught, that we returned all of us to the wall, every one unto his work. And it came to pass from that time forth that the half of my servants wrought in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears and shields and bows and the habergeons, and the rulers were behind all the house of Judah. They which build on the wall, and they that bear burdens, with those that laid, every one with one of his hands wrought in work, and with the other hand held a weapon. See, you see how great of a people we are? And here we reading the history about what we, especially this tribe, Judah, Benjamin and Levi. We still got the same spirit because we are the regeneration of our ancestors that did this. So how are we going to be able to do this? We're going to have to keep in this word, continue to study this word, and by us continuing to study this word is how we're going to have the power to do what we're doing, to do what our forefathers did. That's why I bring this to you, to inspire you to do what they did. That's why these things are written for us. That's why when we read Job chapter 36 and 1, why we get that understanding. Verse 18, and for the builders, everyone had his sword girded by his side, and so build, and he that sounded the trumpet was by me. And I said unto the nobles, and to the rulers, and to the rest of the people, the work is great and large, and we are separated upon the wall, and one far from another. In what place, therefore, ye hear the sounds of the trumpet, resort ye thither unto us. Our God shall fight for us. So we labored in the work, and the half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Likewise, at the same time, said I unto the people, let everyone with his servant lodge within Jerusalem, that in the night they may be guarded to us, and the labor on the day. So neither I, nor my brethren, nor my servants, nor my men of the guard, which follow me, none of us put off our clothes, saving that every one put them off for washing. Meaning that they ain't changed clothes, they ain't do nothing but dedicated themselves to building that wall and defending those that were building the wall, day and night. If you think what you got going on in your life is more important than this truth, then you might as well go ahead and kill yourself. Ain't nothing more important than our people. Nothing, because that's what this is all about. The advancement of our people. If they don't get it, okay, so be it. They don't get it. But out of every 20 that you speak to and one person listen, that is enough. That is enough. I keep telling you, that 1/3 is a covenant part. That 2/3, anybody could get that. But those parts gotta be filled. You just make sure when you audition for your part, it's for the 1/3. You don't gotta have no experience for the 2/3. All you got to do is keep on doing what they've been doing. Loving life in their sin opposed to loving God and his laws. You got to have the same spirit as these brothers did, as these sisters did, as these children did. You got to have the same spirit to be willing to do the work and fight at the same time. And don't even worry about your well-being for as, oh, I got to go get my nails and my hair done, or I got to go get my hair cut, or whatever the case may be. We in a fight. We're in a fight for our people, and we're in a fight against this oppression. Nothing comes before that. Let's go to the book of Isaiah. Book of Isaiah, and I want chapter 30. Isaiah chapter 30, and then verse 7. So, in this parable that I'm about to give you, is we're going to change what the Egyptians are, to which they were our oppressors as well, to these Edomites that are our oppressors now. All the nations are our oppressors. But the main characters then was the Egyptians. The main characters now is these Edomites. So verse 7, Isaiah chapter 30, verse 7. For the Egyptians shall help in vain. Meaning that the things that they do now make it seem like that they doing something for us. It's in vain. They ain't doing nothing for us. It may appear to be that they're doing something for us, but trust me, in the background, it benefits them more than it benefits us. So once again, verse 7, for the Egyptians shall help in vain, and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still, like the scriptures say. Now go write it before them in a table, and note it in a book. Why? To let our people know this ain't for us. We can only be for us. That it may be for the time to come forever and ever. The reason why the Lord said what he said right here in the prophet Isaiah, so that we know now. Other nations can never ever save us. And ain't nothing they doing for us is any benefit to us. It may appear that it is, but it's more beneficial to them. Verse 9, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which saith to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things, but speak unto us smooth things, and prophesy deceit. That's what they want. They don't want us to tell them, brother, you can't have no bald head. Sister, you can't walk around with them tight jeans on like that. The laws of God is not done away with. You can't eat that pork. You can't eat that shrimp, that lobster. No, they want you to say, you know what? Just pray over it and you'll be all right. Yeah, okay. All right. That's what you think. Verse 12. Wherefore, thus said the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon. Meaning that if you don't listen to the Lord and keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, and you trust in the oppression of your oppressor and the perverseness of your oppression, the perverseness is when they bring their democracy. That democracy comes a lot of breaking the Lord's laws. Do you understand? All you got to do is pay attention to the first Gulf War. Before the first Gulf War in Saudi Arabia, the women were dressing modest because that's what they was doing for centuries. It wasn't no rampant homosexuality and lesbianism and all this kind of stuff like that going on in those countries. You'd be put to death for that. Then guess what? America comes over along with its doctrine and mindset. Now Kuwait is in Saudi Arabia is upside down. It's so westernized till it ain't funny. The women wearing pants over there. Men gay, women gay, everybody just doing whatever. The same philosophy that is here, they took to them there. If you can see that happen with your own eyes from 1990 to something that they've been doing for ages before 1990, and then 1990 come and them people done change and here them 1990 to 2017, and you see how much them people done changed over there, you see the power of the devil. And you going to trust in that oppression and the perverseness of what he going to do? He going to drag you to sin. And that sin going to drag you to hell. And if you allow it to happen or be around people that's doing it, it's going to drag you down. That's why the scriptures say, and stay thereon. That means you're going to stay right there in that perverseness, in that oppression. So you got to be like the brothers was in Nehemiah and be willing to fight. So let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, and I'm about to shut it down. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6. The book of Sirach, chapter 6. And let me get verse 35. The book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 35. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. Everything that I brought forth to you today, all these things, these parables, these stories that we can relate to, listen, repeat it back over and over. Get it etched in your mind. Be willing to hear that every godly discourse, everything that we just learned today are things that we need so that we can, number one, sustain the fight, and number two, understand that this is more mental than it is physical. It's more spiritual than it is mental. We have to do this in order to win. And let not the parables of understanding escape thee. Everything that we learn, all the parables and the things that we've learned, don't let it escape you. Rehearse the righteous act every day. Make it your priority. And with that, people, I say shalom. Most High Christ bless. Until the following Sabbath, Lord's willing, I'll see you then. And before we go, let's get the book of Isaiah, And let's get the book of Isaiah chapter 6 and verse 8. Also, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? That's what the Lord said. Whom will I send? And who will go for us? And we responded with a resilient and resounding one voice. Then said I, here I am, send me. All praises, Israel. Most High Christ bless.